Dads die, but they don't necessarily drown. He went into the water to pull out our dog and never came back out. Last time I saw my dad was on a normal Saturday. Dad would then go and get the fish ready to cook that evening. Then the plan was that we would watch the football together at 3 o'clock and read the papers. The weather was kind of wet and windy. He was slamming and hawing whether to take the dog, so I said, well, I'll see you later, Dad. And that was the last time I saw him. It got to about 4 o'clock and the football had started. I kept ringing his phone and it was going to voicemail, not even ringing. And I just had this gut feeling something was not quite right. So I got in my car, drove to the fish shop. When I got to the fish shop, the gates of the car park were up and locked. And my dad's car was in the car park with no sign of the dog or my dad, with the fish bag on the back seat. And I then knew something was not right. That's when we started to get very agitated and nervous, and of course called the emergency services, which is really important to do. All he did was go for a dog walk and get the fish earlier today. And I remember that feeling of helplessness. He went missing on the Saturday, and it was the Monday that we found CCTV on one of the private properties along that section of the beach. And the police then informed us, having looked at that CCTV, that it was him entering the water. That was quite obvious. He was wearing a big blue coat, and that the dog had got in before him. And you still, stupidly, maybe have a sense of hope that we'll find him. I'm sure he would have got out. I'm sure someone somewhere would have seen him and helped him, and that he would have pulled himself to safety. But it just shows you that this can happen to anyone at any age. He was a competent swimmer. He could swim, but it was the water that took him. It was the sea that took him. He didn't fall ill. He didn't have some sort of heart attack. He didn't even slip. He went into the water to pull out our dog and never came back out. Some of people that knew Gareth, my dad, feel angry that he entered the water, that he went in after just a dog. Some people have said, why would you go in just after a dog? But how I reconcile that is my dad would have never forgiven himself if he came out of the water unharmed and let the dog drown on her own. I never thought, I kind of miss just knowing that he's at the end of the phone. I've even tried to call him a few times, which is bizarre, I know, but it's that sense of the phone going to, actually I don't think the number exists anymore. So that sense that actually he doesn't exist is really difficult. Six months after my dad died, I actually decided to get a dog of my own. One thing that I've learnt is that I never take Otis down to the water when it's particularly rough or windy or the conditions don't look good enough. And if it gets rough and windy whilst I'm out with him near water, I always make sure he's back on the lead. I love going down to the sea and being by the water. So it's not about being a party pooper. It's not about saying avoid it at all costs. It's about saying there are simple things you can do for yourself, but also if you see other people in trouble, that will make everyone safer and prevent this happening to any other family, because it can happen to absolutely anyone.